Welcome back to the Not Televised Revolution, the only show on the internet that can open your mind, but we cannot sew it back together again.
Welcome to the Not Televised Revolution. That'll crash on your couch and scrape your pipe.
But, of course, we will leave you a bud the next time we see you. And the only show on the internet that just gets what you're saying, man. Alright, so today we got a very friendly debate. I remain a Bernie bro, while my man Bob Bobson is not wrong for being, thinking forward and thinking about Tusi Gabbard. So we're going to jam on that today, guys.
Alright. So we just gonna roll out the videos first?
Yeah, so we're gonna start with Tulsi's appearance on The View, but we're gonna start a couple of minutes in because all they do is drill her over and over and over again, and it's like watching someone getting verbally raped. But she handled it really well. So
they asked essentially the same question for 3 minutes.
Yeah. So we're starting at 3:28, as you can see, and you ready for the countdown?
Down.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Libya is a perfect example. Muammar Gaddafi was toppled. Now today we have more terrorist groups in Libya than ever before. We have Libyan people, women and children, being sold in open markets as slaves. So while these wars
which we didn't have before when he was there,
which didn't exist before,
no?
And so
interrupt you.
Let's just finish this one point because
for real,
we feel for the suffering of people in these countries, and we want to be able to help them. And so many of these wars are begun and waged from a place of humanitarianism.
Yeah.
But the reality is, and it's a harsh reality, that there is more suffering and more loss of life and more destruction as a result of these wars, which does not serve the people in these countries, nor does it serve our interests and our security.
Congresswoman, first, thank you for your service, which is
Here's
something
your
I think
friend.
everyone
Here's your buddy.
that comes on the show. I think it's important.
Everything she said was fucking awesome.
That being said, my understanding is
Absolutely.
how I feel about your stance on foreign policy. And when I hear the name Tusi Gabbard, I think of a Assad apologist. I think of someone who comes back to the United States and is spouting propaganda from Syria. You have said that the Syrian President Assad is not the enemy of the United States, yet he's used chemical weapons against people.
She handles this beautifully.
That was a red line with President Obama. That is not our enemy. 13 million Syrians have been displaced. So when you say regime change is hurtful for the country, but gassing children isn't more hurtful, it's hard for me to understand where you come from a humanitarian standpoint if you were to become president.
Well, you're putting words in my mouth that I've never said.
You did not say that Syrian President Assad is not the enemy of the United States. Say it now, clarify.
Bitch.
The issue here is how can we help alleviate the suffering of people?
Just really one moment. Is he an enemy of the United States?
An enemy of the United States is someone who threatens our safety and our security. There is no disputing the fact that Bashar al-Assad in Syria is a brutal dictator. There is no disputing the fact that he has used chemical weapons and other weapons against his people. There are other terrorist groups in Syria who have used similar chemical weapons and other weapons of terror against the people of Syria. This is an unfortunate thing that wrenches at every one of our hearts. This is not something I'm disputing, nor am I apologizing or defending these actions. My point is that the reality we are facing here is that since the United States started waging a covert regime change war in Syria, starting in 2011, the lives of the Syrian people have not been improved. Their well-being has not gotten to a better place. Their suffering has not decreased. It has increased, in addition to the fact that Al-Qaeda is stronger in Syria today than ever before. So not only are we dealing with the fact that this regime change war we've been waging in Syria has not helped the Syrian people. It has made their lives worse off. It has also undermined our national security leaving us in a place where Al-Qaeda is a stronger threat there than they ever have been before, and Iran has greater influence in Syria than ever before.
Tulsi, you and I
It's just like the hush.
you and I have
I gotta give you that.
arguments over text on the phone. I've told you how much, how we disagree. People text, right? I'm not. We disagree on this issue. We've had it on the phone as well. I'm very troubled by the tweet about Venezuela that you've put out. We've talked about that. What Maduro is doing to the people of Venezuela. There's over 3 million that have been displaced. People are starving. He's not allowing humanitarian aid in. He is a thug. He is a dictator. He is corrupt.
Put your thumb up your butt because
I am very supportive of what the United States is doing right now.
He's elected.
The solidarity and support of freedom-loving Venezuelans. And economic and
he was elected.
Why are you
if they're
only struggling for us.
Not military intervention, but what we are doing.
Generally, yeah.
Because every time
the
United
IMF,
States,
which is
and particularly in Latin
us.
America, has gotten involved in regime change, using different tools to enact that regime change, there have been
us and Saudi Arabia were actually
devastating impacts. If there are ways that we can work with surrounding countries to try to get humanitarian aid into people there, then we should be doing that. But for the United States to go in and choose who should be the leader of Venezuela, that is not something that serves the interests of the Venezuelan people. That's something that they need to determine
themselves. But the U.S. is not choosing who's going to be the leader of Venezuela. It's millions of Venezuelans marching on the streets. But do you put military intervention in the same level that you put economic and diplomatic efforts?
The United States has used both military, CIA, sanctions, and other tools to intervene and enact regime change in countries around the world. Iran is a great example. The CIA led a covert operation to overthrow the government in Iran decades ago in Mossadegh. This led to decades upon decades of hardship and suffering and authoritarian governments, and has led us to the place where we're dealing with many challenges today.
We're going to come back with more from
first presidential candidate, first politician anywhere.
You want to stop the video? Should we stop the video?
This is
if you want, you can. Joy also is very good, but from here, this is it's the same thing.
Is paying the price for these regime changes.
Right there, Tulsi said it right there. The CIA and everything. We've been doing this in South America for decades.
Right, and I really ended it at a really good spot when she said every one of us is paying for these regime change wars.
It's true, and we have been for a long, long time.
All right, my dude. Hit the ground running. I'm gonna play her hanging out with Joe Rogan for 2 hours and 34 minutes in the background while you make your case.
Yeah, now as I say this, I'm okay with.
Oh, it is 3 hours.
I'm not. Yeah, that's another point right there. There is no such thing as a politician that'll just sit down and be personable for 3 hours. You can't keep it would be incredibly difficult for you to keep a mask on for 3 hours. And so I just think that, she just sits there and she is what she is. She lays it right out on the freaking table. And she doesn't give any quarter back down in any way, shape, or form, and at no point is she ever caught up. If any politician, Biden, Clinton, Harris, Booker, even to some extent, I think even Bernie, if he sat down,
you got a really good point there, because probably both of our favorite commentator, Jimmy Dore, has been trying to get Bernie on his show. So I got to give you a point for that, for sure. I'm on the other side of the argument.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I think that even he might be caught. Whereas not only does Tulsi have the brass clink to actually sit down, but she has the confidence to sit down and say, this is what it is, and doesn't really put kid gloves on it, on The View, right on The View, and freaking midday talk talk show frickin' midday, you know, she literally said, well, we've been kind of doing all kinds of shady stuff in South America for decades. Like, it's you know, she just said it. Like, that's the first politician I've ever, even Bernie hasn't said something like that. Like, the CIA has been playing around in South America.
He has. But Tulsi says it a little better, and
at least not directly. Not directly. Like,
yeah, no.
The CIA.
Yeah, you're right. He never really said it directly, but it's not my turn yet. But I want to still give you props for pointing out how Tulsi stood up to Meghan McCain. That was hilarious.
Yeah, and on top of all of that, she's got the fucking ovaries to just, you know, look at Meghan McCain on her show and be like, hush you. You know, let the big people talk.
All right, final points before my segment.
Like, you know, foreign policy. One final point about Tulsi is that she's got, like, service under her belt. She's actually, like, she would actually appeal more to the other side of the aisle than I think Bernie might or would, as far as that's concerned. Military families, coming from a military family and from the military culture, that's, you know, it's kind not a requirement, but it's something that they really, 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 really want, is a president that is served, and they tend to vote Republican.
All right, welcome back to the not televised edition, segment 2. I am going to argue my case for Bernie, and I'm going to start here. It's hard to find a place to cut this video, so we're going to start from the top. Do you want to sync up so you can listen at the same time?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. So 3, 2, 1, click is what I'm going to do.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
The New York Times is reporting the Trump administration is considering sending as many as 120,000 troops to the Middle East should Iran attack American forces or accelerate work on nuclear weapons. Senator Sanders is not a fan of the idea to put earlier today, no war with Iran. This would be an unmitigated disaster. We must stop Trump and his national security advisor, John Bolton, someone who likes endless wars. Senator Bernie Sanders joins me now. Senator Sanders, thanks for being here. Is there any scenario under which sending 120,000 U.S. troops to counter Iran would be justified short of a declaration of all-out war?
Not that I can think of, Anderson. You know, what is unbelievable to me is that after all of what we experienced,
that better?
Yeah.
And all of the unintended consequences, and the fact that we went into war based on lies, claiming that they had weapons of mass destruction, that we would think again of going into another country, in this case Iran, would be even worse. We've had generals who have told us that if you like the war in Afghanistan and you like the war in Iraq, you're really going to love going to war in Iran. This would be an incredible destabilization of the region. It would lead to endless wars. I mean, I think this is what perpetual warfare is about, that our kids and our grandchildren would never see a time when there would be peace. There would be asymmetrical response from Iran, from their allies all over the world. There would be bombings. There would be sniper attacks. You know, it is just unimaginable. But here is what is very interesting, is one of the great cheerleaders for the war in Iraq, who was a part of the Bush administration then, John Bolton, of course, is now the major advisor, national security advisor today for President Trump. And once again, he has learned nothing. And in fact, he is one of the few people in the world who actually believes that the war in Iraq was a good decision. So I think we have got to do everything that we can to see that we do not get involved in a war in Iran. I will do what I can in trying to get at least 51 members of the United States Senate to make it clear that going to war is not a presidential decision. The Constitution is clear. That power rests with the United States Congress, and we've got to tell the president that this makes no sense at all.
The Pentagon certainly makes contingency plans all the time. Shouldn't they have plans in place in order to be able to respond at a moment's notice?
Well, I don't think, and this is not just the contingency plan. Trump has been very, very provocative toward Iran. He is trying to egg them on. We are in a situation right now.
He's putting up the exact same fight as
loves Mohammed
bin pretty much.
The murdering dictator of Saudi Arabia.
Doing it to the face of Vanderbilt.
Nobody believes that Iran is a model government. They are bad news people. They suppress democracy. They are a lot of corruption. They are involved in terrorism. This is not a great government. But you know what? Saudi Arabia is no great sheikhs either. So we have picked sides, and we have gone with the dictatorship and the brutal regime in Saudi Arabia, which treats women as third-class citizens, which is now waging a terrible, terrible war in Yemen that we are part of. So what the function, in my view, of the United States government right now is to use our power and our strength to bring Saudi Arabia and Iran to the table to try to create diplomatic solutions to the problems in the area, not to get involved in a horrible war which will be never-ending, cost us hundreds of billions of dollars in human life, destabilize the region. Makes no sense to me at all.
James Clapper, the former director of national intelligence, said this morning that if the U.S. presence in the region is bolstered, it could heighten the probability even for an inadvertent encounter between Iranian and U.S. forces, almost an accidental slide into war.
Well, you know, let's remember, the answer is, yeah, that can happen. When tension gets high, stupid things happen, and you have a president who might be trigger happy here, or Bolton might be trigger happy, we're off and running. And
well, I think it's our turn.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
All right, so I got. All right.
So, it's your turn to make your case.
Yeah, it is. Yep. So Bernie Sanders was very clear there, and it was very policy orientated, just like Bernie always is. Like, Tulsi's got this fantastic rhetoric, but Bernie, this is the wrong time, but hang in there. All right, maintenance calls. So actually, that might be kind of good timing. That's people in my community trying to fix my water pipes. That only bolsters the video that I'm showing in the background right now. Oh shit, hang on.
What's up? I got a power snake from the garage. Right out. Yep. All right.
Shit. Okay, so I had a feeling that's when it was going to happen. I'm going to have to do some editing, so... All right.
Okay, well, we can start up.
Yeah.
We can just start it up from the point that I say, all right, well, it's your turn to start making your case.
Welcome back to the Not Televised Revolution. Let's do, I want to do a silence mark, because that'll make it a lot easier to edit it.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back to the Not Televised Revolution. We're on the show with Everyman Bob Bobson, and it's my turn to argue why I think Bernie Sanders, I like him better than Tulsi. I don't think we're necessarily disagreeing on who's a better candidate, but I want to make my point for why I like Bernie more than I like Tulsi, even though she's also awesome. You there, Bob?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So, on the screen, Bob, is Bernie Sanders at a community center hanging out with kids and parents, at the Little League Park. He's the mayor, and the kids are thrilled to hang out with their mayor. That's, I think, the first point that I want to get across.
Yeah, I feel it. Like the personability, the eccentric old grandpa persona that he's got is definitely very calming. He definitely's got a lot of personality to him. I'll admit that.
And then also on that CNN clip with Tucker Carlson, like he was anti-war.
That was Anderson Vanderbilt.
Anderson Cooper, Tucker Carl Cooper Anderson thing. It was Anderson Cooper, but he was very anti-war, but he didn't use empty words. He used specific policies, and specific examples. Well, Tulsi used specific examples too, but Bernie actually said policies that could be implemented. I think he's got a little more experience serving the American people, and as you can see by the video on the screen, he's certainly got experience serving his community.
Yeah, absolutely. One small counterpoint, or one little bit of pushback, is from a legislator's chair. Tulsi has been trying to push the current administration's foreign policy, whereas almost everything that Bernie has been doing from his chair is domestic. And I'm not saying that that's a problem by any means.
Okay.
But she's been kind of doing both. For example, the stop supporting the war in Yemen bill that Tulsi sponsored. She actually wrote it and brought it up. It's just anyway.
Well, I guess we're already into segment 3 now. I didn't bring a whole lot of ammunition to the argument. I just have to admit that voting is often done on feeling, and I guess the third and final point I want to bring for my segment is that Bernie Sanders got 1 million supporters in the volunteers in the first week, so the wave that Bernie Sanders has is what I think will pull him through for the greater American public. But I really, really do want Tulsi on the debate stage.
Absolutely. I'm pushing for Tulsi at this stage in the game is specifically to get her on the stage. And I'm under no delusion that I don't think that she quite has the name recognition in the party to really pull it out. I'm not thinking, or I don't think that's going to be true, but I do think that she does have the name recognition and enough clout to make it into that final press where it's like her, Tulsi, or her, Bernie, and maybe 2 or 3 of the butt gigs or bookers or of the world, the Harrises of the world. I don't even know what to, the Beckys. Yeah, the Democratic Beckys.
Oh, you must be talking about Beth. Our beloved Elizabeth.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
She presents a concern for me. Like, she fell in line with Hillary 4 years ago. Well, 2016. And she would cave to Trump on the debate stage. So, I don't know. Elizabeth Warren actually concerns me.
I agree. I don't think that she's... I think that she's genuine. She's just kind of...
Sort of
I
flaky?
don't know.
Like,
not really flaky, but more...
Flimsy?
Like, flimsy. Like, she doesn't... She's
malleable. That's the word we're looking for, I think.
Malleable or just weak. Like, it's I'm looking for another word other than weak, but that's really what it is. She's got no backbone. She's
not
she'll get
toast, but she's still kind of toasty.
Yeah. drug with the current. Like, she's a river fish.
Yeah.
She just kind of goes with the flow. And that kind of concerns me.
Right.
Because, I mean, like, honestly, if no matter who wins, there will be another wave in the other direction in the legislature 2 years in.
All right, we're taking a bunch of hate if we don't talk about Joe Biden. So,
okay,
you go first.
Well, he wrote the Patriot Act.
There you go.
Let's start there. Like, I don't like the guy, but you know what I like even less than I like Joe Biden? How everybody's trying to go at him. They're trying to go at him with this kind of conjecture, like there's a few pictures in which it looks like he might be doing something inappropriate, and then it's all, he said, she said, and blah, 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 blah. Here's a fact. He wrote the Patriot Act. Here's a fact. He wrote the frickin' 1994 crime bill. Here's a couple of things that there's no flexibility on. This is a little fact. He voted for the Iraq War.
That's what's sad.
Here's a couple of things that there's like, it's not conjecture. It doesn't have anything. There's no opinion about it. Just, he's not your friend.
Joe Biden is not your friend. Thank you, Bob Bobson, for jamming with me. It's been a real jam. I'm going to hit the stop record, but I'm going to keep hanging out with you.
For sure.
Because you're my boy. Thanks for watching the Not Televised Revolution, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, guys.